So peace, family. So we back again, promoting the lecture for April 5th, killing two birds with one stone. We'll be dispelling the two myths that Muhammad did not exist and that Muhammad is Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. So that's pretty much what the purpose of the lecture is, to dispel those myths.
Before you begin, I just want to kind of give a brief overview of the topic at hand, because we don't know the magnitude of the claims that's being made by Shaka Utmost and Ali Muhammad. And it would be just disingenuous for us to suggest that Islam has not played a role in liberating us from white supremacy, because we have an ongoing struggle between Islam and white supremacy. Dealing with white supremacy in general, we see that in 1991, George H.W. Bush declared a new world order. Now, the concept of a new world order goes back centuries. But in the 20th century alone, you had another man by the name of Adolf Hitler. He announced a world order, and his world order was predicated on white supremacy. Nazi Germany would fall. You had two factions arising out of this smoke after World War II, one being Soviet communism, the other one being Anglo-American capitalism. These two factions would collide in what historically is known as the Cold War era. Now, the Cold War era was an ideological difference between the system of white supremacy. They wanted to figure out which ideology can they inculcate onto the masses. How can we control the masses? So, in 1991, you had the fall of the Soviet Union. Mikhail Gorbachev would announce to the world that the Soviet Union is going to be dismantled. Fortunately for George H.W. Bush, it would be under his presidency that the Soviet Union would fall. Thus, you have him announcing a new world order. Just for people who are unaware, Nazi Germany was a religious political movement that supported the Aryan race, i.e. white supremacy. So once he announced George H.W. Bush in 1991, his world order, he would have a conflict in the Middle East. This conflict is historically referred to as Operation Desert Shield. The reason why they classified it as Operation Desert Shield was because they were protecting the already compromised Muslims of the House of Saud from the incursion of Saddam Hussein and his forces once they occupied Kuwait. Operation Desert Shield would turn into Operation Desert Storm, where they would go into Iraq and neutralize Saddam Hussein and his forces. 1993, you had the first bombing of the World Trade Center, and it was a failed attempt. They would not try this attempt again until September 11th, 2001, under his son's administration. Once they bombed the World Trade Centers, they now had the justification to declare war on terrorism. Now, war on terrorism is similar to war on drugs. They say war on drugs, but it's really war on inner city African Americans. War on terror, they say war on terror, but it's really war on Islamic nations. They assassinate Saddam Hussein, occupy Iraq. They supposedly assassinate Osama bin Laden, occupy Afghanistan. Assassinate Muammar Gaddafi, occupy Libya. You have revolutions in Egypt, Syria, neo-colonialism in Israel, Palestine, and preventing Iran from getting nuclear capability. Now, there was two problems with the system of white supremacy. They had, one, they needed a justification. That was 9/11. The other problem is, once we neutralize these people militarily, because we already know that we can neutralize these people militarily, how are we going to change the minds of the masses? And that's the problem that they had in Iraq, because they neutralized the military within weeks. But the problem was from the masses when they was trying to push on their culture and their social system, because they so grounded in Islam. Islam is so entrenched in the culture of the people that it's hard for them to inculcate Christian values, and the Christianity proved incapable of the task. Thus, you have the role of the Orientalists. Now, the Orientalists, they don't attack Islam as the Christians do, or the Christian missionaries did. They try to pull Islam from its very foundations. Thus you had them attacking the authenticity of the hadith, the history of Muhammad, and the actual Quranic text. So I'm going to pass it over to my man Reem, because in April 5th, he's going to show and prove. I'm going to let my man Reem get into that whole thing.
Woo! He just dropped that bomb on that ass, you know what I mean? But that's pretty much like what my man said. See, that's the deeper context of why we giving this lecture. This is not a religious lecture. This is not some type of religious battle. It's bigger than that. We looking at the overall outcome of what this agenda is. Like he just mentioned, the Orientalists play the role of trying to destroy the people by taking Islam out the picture, so it can make it easier for white supremacy to continue to dominate and colonize the world. So pretty much Islam is a stumbling block in a way. It's slowing down their progress for what they want to do. So if these German scholars, these Orientalists, can some kind of way manage to discredit or destroy Islam ideology, excuse me, then they would be successful at helping white supremacy to continue its onward march all over the rest of the planet. So this is why these views are very dangerous that these brothers are bringing into the community. Now, they got these views, like we said, from these German Orientalists. And I'm going to show, it's this one article, and this is called, was Caliph Abdul al-Malik the real creator of the prophet of the Quran? Now, I want you to pay close attention to this, right? Now, this is from a website called themuslimissue.com, where they sell on the website Kafir and Proud t-shirts. Kafir and Proud t-shirts. I'm just gonna go through it just to show, because I'm showing some of the sources for where this information is coming from. So 1400 years of Jew hate. You know, it got Islam with the swastika and a whole lot of other things. Now, it's very curious to note that at the end of the article, it's somebody by the name of Black God. And he says, it is because Muhammad, which means to be black and to be praised, Hammer Monsoon. So we know Hammer means black. We also know that through history that the Umayyad were indeed a black dynasty. Go on and on and on. I ain't gonna read the whole thing, but it says Muhammad and his black Ummah brought forth a black nation that was stolen by the Abbasid, and they beat the white Byzantine Empire. Plus Umayyad was the first Islamic empire. And it says that it said the white Persians, not Isa, a Old Testament figure, son of Maryam and nephew of Moses. And pretty much then he ended all Black Power family. Now these views sound very similar to the same views that Ali Muhammad has. When he was debating Imam Bashir, he brought up the point that the Quranic verse where Mary is called the sister of Aaron, and so he was pretty much trying to say that it wasn't no real Jesus, because that was talking about the old Aaron, and she was his sister, and not the biblical Jesus. But the oral tradition answered that question over 1400 years ago, when that question was posed to the Prophet Muhammad, and he said that why didn't you tell them that sometimes the Jewish people named each other after each other? So the people, they call her sister of Aaron because they shared the same names, not because that was the person of Aaron from the Old Testament, so to speak. So the oral traditions had already been answered that question, and so you know it sounds very familiar that that was him that was on that question. But here's my point. Why would the brother Ali come to the same conclusions that Abdul Malik was the real prophet Muhammad, and these same people who hate Islam would share that same view. Why would both of these people share the same view? It's a reason why. Because either if they say Muhammad didn't exist, or if he was Abdul Malik, either way, if that could be proven, then you take Islam out the picture. You take it out the picture, you prove it to be false and bogus, and then that pretty much starts to eliminate the validity of Islam to the people, and it's easier to go on with that march. Now, another thing, here's a book, and so we don't hide none of our sources. You know, some people like to come out and say they got this scholarship, but they don't want to tell the people where they got the information from and hide stuff. We don't do none of that. Then this is the first half of the Umayyad Caliphate. Now they go year for year showing the lineage of the Umayyads. Now I'm gonna go into a little bit talking about Abdul Malik. Number one, he had a brother named Muhammad. In fact, it was many other people with the name Muhammad, so it was not a title. Muhammad was a real name. And then you got to understand the family history of the Umayyad clan and the Hashim clan, the clan that the Prophet was from. So it was already a lot of turmoil between them two, going back to Abu Sufyan. And specifically, Abdul Malik's grandfather, even after he accepted Islam, the Prophet expelled him from Medina. And Abdul Malik's father, when he got on the pulpit, he used to curse Ali after the death of Ali. So I'm showing this to say that there's a family history, a whole lineage that you would first have to erase or explain away before you even get to the point of trying to say that Muhammad is Abdul Malik. So that view is completely erroneous. As well as, you know, Muhammad not existing, which we already showed what's the reason why these Orientalists would even say that. And it's even funny how they could sit out of one mouth and say that Muhammad didn't exist, but then they believe Jesus existed. But then these brothers accept their scholarship, but they don't believe that Jesus existed. I mean, come on, that don't make no sense. One brother said, is we promoting, you know, pale Arabism or something like that over Islam? We definitely not promoting that. We promoting true Islam. And so just in the whole scene, the perspective of Islam around the world, the majority of the people that accept the religion of Islam is Indonesian people. Now, there's a reason why they don't show us their faces as being the majority people that accept this way of life, because they want to promote a certain form of terrorism, like what the brother was saying. They want to keep pushing a certain view on you. They don't want to show you the world view of all these different peoples accepting this way of life and how it's how their society is being ran on these precepts. They only want to try to show you this so-called terroristic form of Islam. And then another brother made the claim. He said that come out of Islam and go to Mayat. And I made the comment that real Mayat is real Islam. Meaning that it's only one religion, and that religion is submission to the Creator. So that's what I meant by that. Then brother made a comment. He said that Dr. Ben said that Mayat is only confessed in the afterlife. Well, if Mayat is only confessed in the afterlife, then what the hell good is it in this life? What are you doing while you in this life if Mayat is only good for the afterlife? So I think what he meant was that you confess when you say, I have not done this, I have not done that in the afterlife, but you first got to live that way to even make it to that point. So it is a religion that you follow. This whole anti-religious talk, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. Let me tell you what that means. That just means you want to be lazy and you want to do whatever you want to do. That's really what that means. Because religion is a prerequisite to spirituality. Meaning religion sets foundations for you so you can be stable, and then you rise higher in your spirituality once you're grounded. You need rules and regulations. Every people need rules and regulations. It's some of the same niggas that's running around talking about they mayat that's promoting this homosexuality in this community and a whole bunch of other things, because they saying they don't have to follow no religion. And so they using that as a guise so they could just do whatever they want to do. And the people, that's why in the conscious community, people was more backwards than the niggas in the streets, because they saying that they don't have to follow no rules. I'm just spiritual, or I could just do what I want to do.
Right.
You want to get on that?
Yeah. Well, you know, Islam is just a concept. You know, Islam means peace. So when in the Quran they say, "I give you the religion of peace," you know what I'm saying? Mayat is a concept. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. You know, we don't deal with the dogmatism. We don't deal with the Pale Arabism that you may suggest that you try to allude to. We deal strictly with, you know what I'm saying, bringing forth information and
Quranic teachings.
Quranic teachings, you know what I'm saying? And the Quranic teachings, you know, teach that Adam was a man of color, the original man, a black man, you know what I mean? So when you look at the Islamic text in itself, it would be absurd to try to suggest that it's supporting any notions of Pale Arabism.
Right. And in fact, on the lecture, right, I'm going to show you a tribe that lives in Arabia to this day that are descendants from Hassan Ali ibn Abu Talib. And that's the grandson of the Prophet. And they look like niggas from North Philly with dashikis on. And hood and my fault, not dashikis, I mean turbans. But they Arabs that never have migrated out of Arabia, and they look just like black people. I'm going to show you the tribe, I'm going to show you the pictures, and they claim they Sharifs, that they lineage go back to the grandson of the Prophet. So how you going to let some European come from somewhere, come from out the caves and hillsides of Europe and tell you that Muhammad never existed, when you got people alive that's descendant from him? And in specific, a black tribe that's in Saudi Arabia to this day. And I'm going to show that on April the 5th. So, you know, so once again, like I said, we just coming to promote the lecture that we going to have on April the 5th. We going to show and prove without a doubt that Muhammad did exist, that he was not Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. We going to show that the Orientalists is promoting these views because they trying to push a white supremacist agenda, and that our brothers are a little bit confused when they got caught up with this information and they try to put it into the community. But we just gonna straighten this out so they can know that that's false. But also I'll say this: the fairy tale view of Islam that most Muslims have is false too. I gotta be fair and say that this whole view that it was the rightly guided caliphate and everything was fine and everything was good, that's false. That's just not true. So I'm going to also deal with that in some respects to show that this whole fairy tale Mickey Mouse fantasy version of Islam that they try to push to us, that's not true either. And that's one of the reasons why Muslims got to change. They got to change. You can't keep pushing this same idea that this is the way Islam was, this is how it happened, everything was fine and peaceful, because that's not what happened. And the origins of Islam will show that after the death of the Prophet, it was a family feud. It was a family feud, brother fighting brother, cousin fighting cousin, all for political reasons to gain ascendancy to the caliphate. And it just so happened that under Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, the community, that's when all the family feuding stopped, because they killed off most of their rivals, and they killed off most of the family of the Prophet. And then they was able to just concentrate on the outside enemies. And this is why under the caliphate of Abdul Malik, you started to see the Dome of the Rock being built in the inscriptions, the reformed coinage. All of the different changes that he began to make under that administration was because there was no more infighting going on. It was over. He was now declared the caliphate from the Hijaz, Egypt, Syria, and all the rest of the surrounding areas that Islam had came. And then they was able to go on with their march and finish off the Byzantines and the Persians. And then they went and marched to North Africa and on and on and on and on. And Islam spread all the way up into Europe. So that's pretty much that thing. Like I said, we're going to go through 7 parts of the lecture. We're going to straighten those views out. We're going to go to the portion we're going to talk about the real hidden origins of Islam. And it was not the Byzantine or the Syriac literature that's the hidden origins of Islam. We're going to show the real hidden origins of Islam. Yeah, so just check us out. April the 5th at Live from Black and Nobel. You know, support us, support the cause, and peace.
Peace.
Right off the Barnary sub-stop, Philadelphia, PA. Shot so loud you would think it was a club spot. African Americans, although we all over the web, we the hood librarians. We ship to prisons too. We reach out and deliver to those that's bitten too, but it's more than a bookstore. You wonder we got it, mixtapes, DVDs, and culture products. Black and Nobel got our hands in a lot of projects. We welcome all to come build, the energy is positive. And remember, other team is awake and conscious. Come through and experience this place of knowledge. They say they'll put it in a book if they wanna hide it from us, but we got them books so you can buy it from us. Something to read while you on a train or riding the bus. Get your read on, food for thought, get your eat on.